The air in the Thompson family living room was thick with tension. A fire crackled in the hearth, casting a warm glow on the ornate furniture. But the warmth didn't extend to the people seated around the room. At the center of the storm was the will of Victor Thompson, who had passed away 2 weeks earlier, leaving behind a significant fortune and an even more significant problem. "He's doing it again," Sarah Thompson said, her voice tight. She glared at her brother, Andrew, who was sitting across from her with a smug look on his face. "You knew what Dad wanted, Andrew. He made it clear when he was still alive." Andrew leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, not looking the least bit fazed. "Dad was never clear about anything, Sarah. Not really. All he left was this damn trust fund and some vague instructions. He didn't say I couldn't take my share now." Sarah's face reddened. "It was meant for all of us. It's supposed to keep the family together, not be divided up like a lottery prize. Maybe if you had ever been more involved in the family business instead of spending your time traveling around the world, you'd understand things differently." Andrew's words were like a slap. Their younger sister, Emma, who had been sitting quietly by the window, shifted uncomfortably in her seat. She wasn't sure where to place herself in the middle of this. Sarah had always been the responsible one, the caretaker, while Andrew had a way of bending the rules in his favor. And then there was Emma, who had avoided family matters until they became impossible to ignore. "Dad always said it was a family trust," Sarah continued, her voice trembling now. "He never wanted it to break us apart. It's about security, not selfishness." Andrew's eyes narrowed. "Security? You mean your security, Sarah? Let's not pretend. You want the money to make sure you can keep up your lifestyle. I want to use it to move forward, to build something real. I'm the one with the ambition, not you." There was a long pause. The room felt smaller with every second, as if the walls were closing in. Victor Thompson had been a hard man, a successful entrepreneur who'd started his company from the ground up. He had made his money the old-fashioned way, through grit, risk, and a sharp mind. He had built a legacy, and now that legacy was being fought over like a pile of scraps. Emma cleared her throat, trying to break the thick silence. "I don't know why we're arguing about this now. Dad's gone, and he's not coming back. We need to figure out how to move forward as a family, not tear each other apart." "She's right," Sarah said, softer now, but her eyes still locked on Andrew. "We're all we have left. The trust fund isn't a solution, it's just a complication." Andrew stood up abruptly, pushing his chair back with a loud scrape against the floor. "You're both just scared of change, scared that I'll actually do something with this money, that I'll make it work. Well, too bad for you. I'm not waiting around for your permission." He turned toward the door, his coat already in hand. "If you two want to sit around in your little world, fine. But I'm taking my share and making something of myself. You'll see." "Andrew," Sarah began, but the door slammed behind him before she could finish. The sound of his retreating footsteps echoed through the empty house, leaving a void in his wake. Emma looked over at Sarah, who was holding back tears. "What are we going to do now?" Sarah shook her head slowly. "I don't know. I really don't." The silence in the room was deafening. The trust fund was meant to protect them, to give them security, but instead it had become a wedge that had driven a rift between them. Victor's vision for the future was lost in their fighting, and no one knew how to bridge the gap he'd left behind. Sarah stood up and walked toward the fireplace, her gaze fixed on the flickering flames. She had always been the one to hold the family together, but now she wasn't so sure she could. The argument had only deepened the divide, and the money that was supposed to help them felt more like a curse than a blessing. "I can't believe it's come to this," Sarah whispered. Emma walked over to her, putting a hand on her shoulder. "Maybe we don't need to fight over the money, Sarah. Maybe we need to find another way to honor Dad's legacy, a way that doesn't tear us apart." Sarah nodded, but a deep sadness filled her heart. "I hope you're right, Em. I really do." The fire crackled again, as if it too was wondering if it could ever burn brightly enough to heal the cracks in their family.